Hidden deep within the Ozark Mountains, isolated from everything, and accessible by a two-lane highway that snakes through the Ozark Mountains. Surrounded by gorgeous Ozark scenery and full of more talent than any other town in the country. A town that will entertain you like no other place in the country, like no other place in the world. Welcome to Branson, Missouri, America's music show capital.
It all started here in Marble Cave. Many years ago, some 500 years, the Osage Indians knew it only as a mysterious black hole. They called it the Devil's Den. The legend tells of a young brave hunting a bear. Both were swallowed by the darkness, never to be seen again. Later, it's believed the Spanish explorers, lowering themselves on long ropes, came searching for the Fountain of Youth. In the 1850s, the miners came, full of dreams of riches, silver and marble. But what they found in a great abundance? That guano. It fetched a good price as a fertilizer. Times were good. First, we'll talk about those tourists. Started coming through this cave around the turn of the century. Foreigners, as they were called around these parts. They'd carry lanterns, wear leather-seated breeches, climb down wooden ladders, then slide down the pile of debris that had fallen into the sinkhole, some 20 stories. You might say the cave became more civilized in the 1950s when city folks, Persian was their name, fell in love with the beauty of the Ozark Mountains. They took out a 99-year lease on Marble Cave and started having celebrations, things like square dances.
Pick your partner and I'll see now.
They figured out how to bring them down, what to do with them underground, even how to bring them out in this fancy cable car. You folks have a good time. Bye-bye.
Branson's resounding music industry began more than 30 years ago when the Maid Brothers, calling themselves the Ball Knobbers, established Branson's first country music show on the banks of Lake Taneycomo. And the Branson area has never been the same.
We was playing for the fun of it mostly, you know, and we seen it was picking up pretty good, so we got to thinking, well, if we can make $50 a week, we'd quit our public jobs, and we did after we got to making $50 a week. So making 60 now.
1960, Main Street, Silver Dollar City.
Vacationers heading for the hills of the Ozarks are finding a new form of entertainment at Marble Cave near Branson, Missouri.
Silver Dollar City has fun in the past. Now past meaning about 100 years ago in the past, long about 1880. Ozark fun at its best. Now we have the most beautiful Ozark hills right here. Our buildings and our people are just as something to sit back and just to be awe-inspired. We have rides, great rides. We have crafts. And folks sitting here are going to tell you how they're done and how they was done in 1880. And we have music. Oh, the music we have. Why, we have over 7 shows going on all the time, simultaneously at the same time, if you will. Well, we also have entertainers. We have some funny townsfolk that live out around here. They're a bit odd, but we tolerate them, and we think you will too.
You know, folks are always asking, why do they call it Silver Dollar City?
Why, it was a promotion, Gene. You know, advertising back in the old days by word of mouth. Why, we used to give silver dollars as change here at this place, and then the folks would take them home, and they'd tell other folks all about this place. Yep, Silver Dollar City.
Also opening in 1960, and just a few miles east of Silver Dollar City, Dr. Bruce Trimble and his wife Mary opened an outdoor pageant based on the world-famous novel, The Shepherd of the Hills. The outdoor pageant was held on the actual site where the models for author Harold Bell Wright's characters lived.
The Ross family, John and Anna Ross, and their son Charles, moved down here in 1884. They homesteaded 160 acres, and they built this log cabin you see behind me in 1884. This was their home for many years. Mr. Wright, the author of The Shepherd of the Hills, Harold Bell Wright, was passing through this part of the country and stopped for a visit. He was on his way south and couldn't get across the White River. It was up out of its banks, and was told that this would be a good place to spend the night, that the folks here were friendly and he could find a place to stay. Well, he really was impressed with the area, the countryside, and the folks that lived here. So he just stayed on. He spent 6 summers here compiling notes for the book, The Shepherd of the Hills. In the 20s, in the mid-1920s, a lady from Springfield named Lizzie McDaniels bought the property from young man in the book, Charles Ross, and decided to keep the cabin open for the story's sake, just for folks and history and everything else. And she kept the cabin open, and she had tours running through it. She kept the property until 1947 when she died, and the Trimble family bought the property and kept it open as a historic landmark and gave guided tours across the homestead. That was just about it. They did have a museum, and they had horseback rides. Since the Snaden family has bought the property, we still continue with the guided tour in our Jeep-drawn conveyances. We have Clydesdale wagon rides, we have horseback rides, we have Inspiration Tower. That's all included in your daytime ticket.
The Shepherd of the Hills is a family-oriented presentation with excitement and enjoyment for every member of the family.
Well, we are definitely rated G. I mean, we're about as G as you can get, with a possible exception of maybe a little bit of violence. We do, like I said, have a fight scene, and we do have a shootout. I don't use any blood in the show, any fake blood. We used to, but I cut that out. There's absolutely no swear words in the show. It has a great moral basis to it. As a matter of fact, at the end of the show, when you think that everything is going to end sort of tragically, we pull a rabbit out of the hat with a special effect that turns the whole thing around, and in the epilogue, the last statement is the end of life as we know it, the end or the beginning, and our special effect turns the whole thing into a very happy ending. So as far as the show goes, you get a little bit of everything. I guarantee you'll have at least a half a dozen good belly laughs and a number of chuckles on top of that through the show. It will make you angry at times. If you don't really watch yourself, in the end of the show, you'll find a lump in your throat and a tear in your eye. And it really draws on all of your emotions. And it's a very entertaining evening. It's a lot of fun.
Following in the footsteps of the Ballknobbers in 1967, the Presley family built the Presley Mountain Music Jubilee on what is now Branson's famous 76 Country Boulevard. This was the first of many to build along the famous 76 Strip. In 1968, the Ballknobbers moved their show from the banks of Lake Taneycomo to their new theater, which was also built on the Strip. The The two family music shows and their fans spurred development on West 76. The 10-mile stretch between the downtown Branson area and the two major family attractions, Silver Dollar City and the Shepherd of the Hills Homestead and Outdoor Theater, began to fill with other tourism businesses.
It really changed. I mean, back then you could drive 70 miles an hour on 76, and now you go bumper to bumper. An old man could be walking down with a cane right now and can beat the traffic.
1970 saw the arrival of Mutton Hollow Craft and Entertainment Village. The village was named for the old shepherd, the Shepherd of the Hills, who herded his flocks of sheep into the hollow. Mutton Hollow is host to many craftsmen who share their crafts with visitors, as well as many fine musicians who will entertain you while you visit the village. In 1983, Branson saw its first link to a widely known entertainer when Roy Clark lent his name to the Roy Clark Celebrity Theater. The theater brought top names into the theater, making Branson a larger tourist attraction. Although the theater carried the name Roy Clark, Mr. Clark did not own the theater himself until 1991, when he and his bass player Rodney Lay purchased the theater. In the following decades, dozens of music shows have followed the lead of these great pioneers and have established theaters within a 3-mile stretch on or near West 76. Today, more than 30 theaters are home to more than 40 different shows. 1984 was the arrival date of John and Paul Cody, who brought their talents to the Starlight Theater.
So we got started back in music back at the Grapevine Opry down in Texas.
In Grapevine, Texas.
And then the lady, Cheeside Childs, that had that place, had called us up one day, said, I'd like y'all to come up to Branson. Well, to be honest, I'd never heard of Branson at that time. This is back in 1984. And I said, what's going on up in Branson? She said, well, it's a little town of about 2,500 was the population at that time. And I said, well, why in the world are you up in Branson, Missouri, a little town? She said, there's about 16 theaters. Of course, now they have, I don't know how many theaters, 25 or 30 or something. But she said, I'd like y'all to come up. We came up to Branson, toured all the area, just fell in love with the place. And she said, I'd like y'all to become regulars. So we got started at the Starlight Theater, which is now Christy Lane's. Well, first of all, they're going to see something entirely different than anybody else in town has from the standpoint of we're doing shows in front of the fountains. We have fountains that are 40 feet high, 60 feet wide, 40,000 gallons of colored water, beautifully choreographed, everything that we're doing on stage. So it's a very unique kind of show from that aspect. And like I said, Joan and I have been singing for many, many years together. And we hear a lot of good harmony. And
we do anything from George Jones to Neil Diamond. Just do some country, do some pop, do some
Beauty and the Beast and some show tunes.
Show tunes, all kinds of different material.
1994 saw the loss of a great entertainer when Paul Cody suddenly passed away. This loss was felt by many, especially his brother John. However, being the great entertainer that he is, John overcame his loss and returned to the stage to do what he does best, entertain. Joining John on stage is his son Shane, who, like his father, is a terrific and powerful entertainer.
Well, I've got my son. Now Shane goes, he is my son. People saying, well, you got different names. Is he your adopted son? No, he's my real son, but he just decided he wanted to have a stage name and have his own thing going, so he calls himself Shane Dalton. And he came up from Texas. And the funny part was Shane is doing a big majority of the harmonies, yet he couldn't, 2 years ago, he really couldn't hear harmony. And I said, well, how'd you learn to do that? And he said, I just listen to records, and instead of singing the lead with it, he'd sing the harmony line. So that's how you got to do the harmony. So we've been doing it now. This is what, our seventh week.
Filling Paul's shoes is no easy task. However, Shane's performance is both enjoyable as well as breathtaking. 1987 saw the arrival of 3 new theaters, including famed hobo Boxcar Willie, Campbell's Ozark Country Jubilee, and the 76 Music Hall. Being reared on country music, freight trains, and hobos could have a definite effect on a young boy. And for one young Texan, those early years would someday be the kind of things legends are made of. With a railroad man as the head of the household and a train yard for a backyard, Boxcar learned a great deal about train hobos. These men taught him a lot with their tall tales and vagabond lifestyle. It's no wonder that Boxcar headed down the tracks to become Branson's famed hobo.
I saw a hobo in a boxcar in Lincoln, Nebraska, who looked like a friend of mine named Willie Wilson. And I had hoboed when I was 15 and 16, and this guy in the boxcar looked like Willie Wilson. I said, well, there's my buddy Willie in the Boxcar Willie. And I wrote a song called Boxcar Willie. And that's where the idea came from. And I always had it in the back of my mind that that'd be a good image to take, and I wouldn't be a fake either since I had hoboed, so that's how it evolved.
During his early years, Boxcar held many jobs, from being a disc jockey to a flight engineer, while still playing his music part-time. Boxcar Willie became Branson's first permanent major star to make his home in the Branson area.
Well, I worked at Swiss Villa, and then I noticed that we had different crowds for the morning show, or their afternoon show, and the night show. And I said, well, by God, this might give me a chance to get off the road, because I've been working 318 days out on the road for the past 10 years. And I saw this theater here empty, and I worked for Jim Thomas right across the street. And when I went over to the plantation to eat dinner, I noticed this theater being empty here, and I said, yeah, that's what I want. So it was just a spur of the moment thing. It was no planning in it, you know, just boom, that's what I'm going to do. They expect to see country music, and that's exactly what we give them, is pure country music. I do Roy Acuff, I do George Jones, I do Hank Williams, I do Boxcar Willie. Country music.
Boxcar Willie is proud to be the 60th member to be inducted into the Grand Ole Opry. The spirit comes alive at the 76 Music Hall, where the talents of several very versatile groups share the same stage, providing entertainment for the entire family throughout the entire day. Opening their doors in 1987, the 76 Music Hall has been home to many different groups throughout the years.
We do Bob Wills music, and we do a whole segment on that. In the second half, we do whatever the folks want to hear. They do a request deal, and they pick out songs. If we don't know them, we'll make them up. We do traditional to Hank Williams, to Bob Wills, and to Alan Jackson or George Strait, what's current now, and Mark Chestnut. You know, just anything that's going on in country music, we try to do all of it.
Well, the Brumley Music Show is we started here in 1988, and we've been here 5 years now. This is our 5th year, and we do a lot of my father's songs. He wrote the great gospel song like I'll Fly Away and Turn Your Radio On, and I'll Meet You in the Morning, and about 800 of them altogether. And we do some of those in the show. A lot of talented people on the show with us, you know, that Chester Drawers, Eddie Bowman, our comedian, and Jeannie D, and Davis sisters, and my sons, Tommy and Todd, and John Conley, guitar player, great guitar player, and Steve Watts on piano. Have Scott Josh, who plays fiddle with Dwight Yoakam, is on our show Wednesday night out with Dwight. He's here with us, and he's a great talent that you'll enjoy. And have a lot of us on the show. There's 12 of us all together, I think.
They're going to see music from the 40s through the 90s. 40s is going to have the big band. They're going to see music titled Them Their Eyes. Splinter Middleton does some country western music from the 40s. The 50s we go into doing the sock hop and old Elvis tunes, Heartbreak Hotel. The Memory Maker band does wonderful 50s music, bop music. 60s, Patsy Cline, that's a favorite of many, many folks, and that doesn't matter. Again, that's an era where kids even now in their teens know who Patsy Cline is, and that's pretty amazing. We go to 70s and do Roll Back the Rug, and we get into the 80s and we do some rap music, and 90s we get into some gospel, and you'll hear some patriotic, and it's just a bit of everything.
By the beginning of 1990, tourists had become even more interested in the Branson destination as big names continued to flock to the area. Mel Tillis purchased land in 1990, in which he built the Mel Tillis Theater. And Jim Stafford opened his show first at a local theater and then later in 1993 built his own theater on the 76th Strip.
Well, I've been coming here since '83 and trying to move here since that same time period, and just managed to work it out in '90, and haven't looked back at all. I think this is one of the great special places on this earth. I really do. I think there's something. It's almost like there's just something here that is very special. A lot of people recognize that, I think. Well, I can't tell you much because our show is based an awful lot on the surprise factor. We have lots and lots of surprises in the show, and I can't really give them away, but I can tell you this. It's party time and my turn with the lampshade. Well, I want them to want what I would want in the show. I want them to feel like they saw something that went by really fast, that had a lot of things happening, that was entertaining, and that worked for them and their kids. I like to say that my show is a show that kids can bring their parents to.
Jim is an inspiration to his guests, who will never know what to expect next. He does, however, share one philosophy with many of Branson's residents, as well as many of Branson's guests.
Well, I think happiness is what you have to try and achieve. It doesn't much matter. Money doesn't much matter in the long run. Somebody once said that money will just keep you in touch with your kids. I think the truth of it is that money isn't going to necessarily make anybody happy any more than living in the right place or whatever. I think that what makes you happy comes from within inside. It's what, you know, and what makes me happy is just my family.
The Branson music history took another huge jump in 1992 when 4 new theaters first opened their doors to the public. John Davidson, the Osmond Family, the Grand Palace, and Andy Williams' Moon River Theater each opened in '92, and each theater added their own unique styles to the area.
Well, the whole idea that I had about the outside of the theater was to make it look sort of like the environment around Missouri, all of the highways that go through the rocks. And all I could see one night I woke up, and I'd been thinking about this for quite a while, you know, several weeks, about what is the outside of this building going to look like. And so finally one morning I woke up and said, this is it, you know, we'll make it look like the highways going through it. And then instead of highway going through it, we'll have this building coming through these rocks. So that's what happened. I do some of the songs that I'm well known for. I do a medley of songs from films. I do Moon River and The Days of Wine and Roses, Charade, Call Me Irresponsible, Born Free, things like that, from movies. So that sort of takes care of what people may want to hear me do, that they know me from those songs. And then we do things with, we have a choir, big choir, and we do some gospel music. It isn't a gospel show by any means, but we do a gospel medley that's about 8 minutes long. And then I do White Christmas with the choir, even though it's July. Do some interesting kind of things, I think.
Originally, what happened is Andy Williams, our good old buddy, came up to Utah and told us all about Branson. He was building a theater at the time. We didn't know anything about Branson, so we checked into it. Our younger brother Jimmy came here and came back and gave us a report saying that, guys, this could be something that we could spend years and years enjoying and doing. And so we all came about 1.5 years ago and found this theater and worked out the arrangements, and we're sure glad that it happened the way it did.
Well, compared to touring and having our theater here, there's a vast difference. In fact, that's one of the things that appealed to the family, in coming to Branson, moving all of our families from Utah, is that we could stay in one place and not have to travel all over the country and all over the world, but to stay and do 2 shows a day except Sunday, and to perform in front of a live audience, which is a lot more fun than actual doing TV, and work together as brothers and see the response from them, and to meet the people that come on the buses. That's fun, and it's a whole family thing. In fact, our father is the one that he greets them all on the bus, and he gets back on the buses, and they know him as George. Everybody in this theater when they leave this show, feel like they're a part of the family, and they have a good time, and they've been entertained, and I think it just is a nice. I don't think you can compare the two. I think this is much more fun for the family and a lot more fun for our families.
Well, there's lots of things that are fun to do. I like to play off my brothers, particularly my brother Alan, who's not too bright up here, and it's fun to tease my brothers. I enjoy that a lot. And we get along really well, and we just have fun on stage. That's about all we do.
The advantages of being in a family music group has many reasons. The fact that we've been together for 36 years, we have a wealth of experience, a repertoire. We have a lot of various situations that we might get into that we know how to get out of, having been there before. But I think there's a harmony and there's a sound we have. There's also experience and a dedication. We came to Branson, we're going to be in Branson, and we'll be here, and when we get up or down, and everybody has a mood swing or a career up and down, we've been through it all together. So we're not going anywhere without each other. So this is the Osmond Family Theater, and this is what we're doing, and I think there are a lot of advantages for that.
Rounding off the 1992 year and combining the talents of many of country's greatest entertainers is the Grand Palace. The Grand Palace brings to its stage America's top stars and some of the most spectacular shows in Branson. Named Country Music Association's venue of 1992 year, the Grand Palace wows its audiences with an electric array of greats such as Kenny Rogers, Yakov Smirnoff, Vince Gill, Barbara Mandrell, and a world tribute to the great Patsy Cline. Also returning to the Palace, direct from New York, the Radio City Music Hall Christmas Spectacular will play during the Christmas season. The Christmas Spectacular, starring the super talented Rockettes, promises the same top caliber performance that thrilled more than 125,000 visitors to Branson during the 1994 premiere season. The Grand Palace is owned and operated by Silver Dollar City Incorporated of Branson, Missouri. Superstar Kenny Rogers, a partner in this and other Silver Dollar City properties, adds his creative influence and entertainment expertise, helping to shape the Grand Palace into one of the nation's most exciting music venues. "1993 was an extraordinary year as theaters continued to move into the area, and at a greater pace than ever before. 6 new theaters call Branson their home, with stars such as Tony Orlando, Bobby Vinton, the 5-Star Theater, Shenandoah South Theater, Hunt Boys and Dinettes, and the Thunderbird Theater, each theater adding their own unique beauty and splendor to the Ozark countryside. Named the all-time most successful love singer of the rock era, Bobby Vinton has now joined the long ranks of talented performers who call the Branson area home. Opening his Blue Velvet Theater in 1993, Bobby offers a show that is appealing to both young and old alike. Bobby's impressive list of songs are recognized as standards throughout the world, and his music has retained its vitality and relevance throughout changing times.
Well, Branson is the entertainment capital of the world. There's no place like it, especially for my type of entertainment. I'm a family entertainer, and my music is kind of romantic, wholesome, everything that I thought was over with. And, you know, you go to LA, you go to New York, and you watch the music awards on television, and they say this is the music of America. Well, I figured maybe I should have gone fishing until I came to Branson and found out that there are millions of people who love to be entertained with the type of music, you know, that I do. And then I decided that if I ever brought the Glenn Miller Orchestra with me, it would even be an added plus.
So we're offering, big band music with all of my records as well as entertainment. Well, my show is a little bit of everything. It's family entertainment. My mother sings and dances. My daughters sing and dance. I, of course, do all of my many hits, as well as Glenn Miller's orchestra and all of their many hits. And then we combine the two. It's really a treat for me to be able to sing songs like Roses Are Red and Blue Velvet with the Glenn Miller Orchestra accompanying me in the fashion that the Glenn Miller Orchestra would have played it. So it's really a musical event. We call it some of the greatest music in music history to be able, and we have the people get up and dance to Moonlight Serenade and In the Mood and Chattanooga Choo Choo. It's just a lot of great music which is still alive. Well, I think having my own theater is probably the greatest thing that has ever happened to me, and I think moving to Branson is the greatest thing that has ever happened to me. I could have pursued movies and television and still been traveling all over the world if I wanted to, but there's something special about Branson. I believe that I was meant to come to Branson. I get into these subject matters at times, and I just figured if there's anyone, and there's not too many, but if there's anyone who should be in Branson performing with who he is and what his values are and what his music is, it's me. I'm in one of the top 10 that should be in Branson.
"1994 was another exceptional year as 6 more new theaters opened their doors for business. Stars such as Pat Boone, Glenn Campbell, Charlie Pride, and Mickey Gilley continued to bring top-rated entertainment into the area, as did the Lawrence Welk Champaign Theater and the Country Tonight Theater. The highly acclaimed Lawrence Welk Show, which has delighted television viewers and concert goers for 4 generations, also opened doors of their new 2,300-seat Champaign Theater in the spring of 1994. The show features the classic sweet voice Lennon sisters, as well as the exuberant honky-tonk pianist Joanne Castle, the 20-piece Lawrence Welk Orchestra, and a series of rotating Welk performers. The show represents the very, very best of Lawrence Welk.
The show is so good. I'm so proud of it. I'm so proud of this whole thing that we're doing here. And I think they're all going to be surprised, and I think they're all going to be thrilled and elated, like we are, with the whole thing. And just the anticipation of oh boy, I can't wait for them to come, so we can see the looks on their faces when they see this magnificent theater. I mean, I've never worked in a theater like this. I've never worked on a stage like this, and I've worked on a lot of stages. Madison Square Garden is one of them, and all over the country. Las Vegas, I've worked all over on lots of stages. I've never worked on a stage like this. Larry Kanzler is the best conductor that I have ever worked with. Well, I have to say Lawrence Welk and maybe Myron Florin, and I don't want to, discount them, but honestly, he is the best guy, and he's so musical, and he's so good with the band members, and he's so good with the up front performers and all the performers on the show. I have never worked with anybody as wonderful as Larry Kanzler, and I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. I think Larry Welk has done an incredible job getting everybody together that he's gotten, and the crew that he's gotten together for this. They're tops. There's nobody better, and he's done such a great job of taking care of all of us in a very special way with a lot of things, and even our dressing rooms are just wonderful. I mean, this is just like, it's a dream come true. It's heaven. This is heaven. Branson, Missouri really is heaven, I think. I really think it might be.
Being here at the theater, at the Champaign Theater, really feels like we've gone full circle. Larry Welk Jr. introduced us to his dad in 1955 by bringing us to his dad's house, and we went to, Dee Dee actually went to school with Larry Welk Jr., and he heard us sing once and had us, told his dad about us, and then called one day and said, hey, my dad's homesick with a cold, can't get out of the house, come and sing for him, quick. And so the 4 of us went over and sang for Mr. Welk, and he asked us to be on on his Christmas Eve show of 1955. And we were on every Saturday night after that for 13 years. And now here we are in Branson, seeing those same people who saw us then, who say, hey, you know, you've been just like my granddaughters, or you're just like my daughters. And most of the people here say, hey, we grew up together, and my grandmother made me watch you every Saturday night. So it really has been kind of a full circle to come back here to Branson.
Our show differs a little bit from the television show because on TV you can't stretch out these long numbers and things like that. A lot of our show does move, though. You'll notice they're 2 minutes, 30 seconds, a minute and a half, things like that. Even my numbers are very short. There are 4 or 5 of them, but they're short because you want to make it look like you were up there and you're gone that quick. Lawrence made it like 1 minute someone was on, and the next minute they were off, then someone was on, they were off. And that's why his whole hour used to go so quickly. Especially with standing ovations. How can you not feel good? You know, when they do that, that shows that they really appreciate you and they really like you very much, and they appreciate the time and the energy and the talent, and you're working hard.
Mickey is back and better than ever. Following a fire that destroyed his theater in 1993, Mickey Gilley has rebuilt his theater and is once again entertaining guests in his own Mickey Gilley Theater. Down but never out, Mickey picked up the pieces from his tragic loss and is once again on the top of the world.
Well, in 1993, May the 10th, we lost the theater to a major fire, and it was about 80% destroyed. And I decided that we'd probably be better off if we took it all the way to the ground and started over. And due to the fact that the city gave us permission to build it back with not quite as many parking spaces as we had before because of the restaurant. They gave us a variance on it, and we were able to build back in the same spot. So I think that we're in a very, very good location, and that's where I wanted to stay. So when we got the okay from the city, we decided we'd go up from the ground with it. I'm actually doing probably a little more than an hour and a half. We take an intermission, but the show runs from 8 at night until 10, and sometimes it runs 10:05. But we do take anywhere from a 10 to a 15-minute intermission in the middle of the performance. So I'm doing probably an hour 45. And I let the girls sing 2 or 3 songs in the show. I try to please everybody, and I got a lot of flack when I didn't come out and perform at the top of the show. So I decided that this year I'd add to the group, make a bigger band, and try to do a lot of different kind of material. Because I got to have fun myself too. I can't just go out there. If I went out on the stage and I sang Mickey Gilley, all the hits, from the time that I walked out until I finished my performance, I'd have the people asleep in their chair because all of my songs have been ballads, have been hits. The only 2 up-tempo songs I've had was the duet with Charlie McClain, Paradise Tonight, and Don't the Girls Get Pretty Close in Time. So you need something to get the people up, and that's the reason why that I started adding different material in. I've got a lot of other things I want to add in, and I've had a lot of requests to do some of my cousin's music. So I'm only doing 1 tune right now, but I want to do some of his country hits, like Another Place, Another Time, What Made Milwaukee Famous, To Make Love Sweeter for You, She Even Woke Me Up to Say Goodbye. I mean, those were monster hits for Jerry Lee. And people associate me with my cousin Jerry. Well, the only thing that I've done on Neil Diamond is because we got the brass section, and I've always loved Neil Diamond's music. I love the horns. I love to do things like what Deborah McClinton does, but I don't think I get away with it in Branson. So I try to pick the tunes I feel like that the Branson audience will understand. I mean, we got a lot of these people that come in here, and they want to hear songs that you can relate to. And I try to make it part of the show where that they listen to what I'm talking about. And like Don't the Girls Get Pretty Close in Time, I talk about, that song is a pattern for the men that like to have 2 or 3 drinks and think that they're King Kong or 9 foot tall and bulletproof, like I say in the show. And I dedicate it to the guys because that song I think most guys can relate to. The girls could relate to it too if it was turned around, if you turned it in the opposite direction. I think that's all that matters to me is one of the prettiest love songs I ever recorded and one of the best records I ever made. I think the women want to hear the love songs, the sweet songs, the soft songs, the pretty songs, and I think the men enjoy some of the up-tempo foot stomping, hand clapping type music, and I try to mix it up and do a little bit of all of it. I try to do some of the album cuts. I threw the Neil Diamond in because we got the brass section now. I call them my hornets, but anyway, I have a good time with them. I think variety is where it's all at, and we had people like Andy Williams come in. We got Tony Orlando, you got Roy Clark, you got Mickey Gilley, you got Boxcar Willie, we got Shoji Tabuchi, and he's different. I think that what's drawing the people in Branson is the variety that they can see, and I think people come to be entertained. To me, being able to walk out on stage and do an entertaining type performance for the people, get them to laugh, get them to forget their problems, and if they sit there for 2 hours and they only feel like they've been sitting there for an hour and say, hey, is it over with? Then you know that you've hit a home run. So that's what my goal is to not only fill my theater up on every performance that I'm performing at, but also is to show the people a great and wonderful time, and hopefully they will come to the theater and then they'll walk next door and have some good Texas cuisine.
In May of 1994, Country Tonight Theater, a family-oriented, action-packed variety show, moved into the former Ray Stevens Theater. The show has a cast of more than 25 performers and was named Best Country Production Show in America by the Country Music Association of America.
Well, with the tourism booming around Branson like it has been, and it being a very family-oriented town, we felt that the family-type show that we had would bring a real good new ideas and new entertainment to Branson. So that's the reason we chose the Branson area and the type of show that we have. Our show, Country Tonight, is actually the star. We have no headliners. We try to feature each person that is in the show. It's a very high-energy country and western review of popular country music. We do all types. We have yodeling. We have, they do country clogging. We feature a couple of different states where we do songs about those. But it's a very high energy type show, and it is basically a country review. Well, we have, one thing we have a specialty act. We have a roper named Johnny Lone Star, and he does all types of rope tricks to music. He also does gun tricks, and that's been very much enjoyed by all the kids. They love it. We have a 12-year-old Star Search winner. She was a 5-time champion winner off of Star Search. She is from Texas, and she sings, and she does a medley of songs, and they do line dancing behind her. We also have a 9-year-old that is from Minnesota, and she sings far beyond her years. She has an incredible voice. And we also have a group of 12 dancers. They do square dancing, country clogging. We feature also the Tennessee Waltz. We have a young man that is a 3-time harmonica champion, and he does flat-foot clogging. So we actually hit all different types of the country bluegrass type style of music. Well, the Moffats are originally from Canada, and they're on our show, and they have an 11-year-old and 3 10-year-olds. And they're incredible. They sing and they dance. And most of the time they really steal the show. And their mother also sings with us. And she was the Country and Western Star Female Vocalist of the Year in Canada in '92 and '93.
1994 also marked a milestone in Branson entertainment history, as Bob Eubanks unveiled his one-of-a-kind morning show. Each morning, Eubanks is host to the $25,000 game show Spectacular. The show is a 90-minute, fast-paced audience participation spectacular, with contestants competing for $25,000 in cash and prizes.
Well, the $25,000 game show is an hour-and-a-half live show that features between 50 and 60 contestants every show. We get them right out of the audience. We don't pre-select any contestants. We choose them right there on the spot, so everybody has an equal chance to get up on the stage. And we're only looking for people that have a good time, that want to have a good time. That's the only prerequisite. If you have some enthusiasm, then come on down and we'll make you a star. And that truly is our theory. The audience, they're the stars of the show.
That's good.
During the show, by the way, every show, someone has a chance to win $25,000 in prizes, including a brand new car. And we also do some nostalgia things. We do The Price is Right, only we do a little twist on it. We will go back into the 1930s, the 1940s, and the 1950s, and we will have a game in which you have to guess the price of something that was in 1930. For instance, how much did it cost to get in to see a Shirley Temple movie in 1931? Or it might be, how much did Rosie the Riveter make per hour in the 1940s? Or how much did a hula hoop cost in the 1950s? So we kind of do a little flip-flop on the prices right. Our show is a compilation of every game show you've ever seen, from Art Linkletter's House Party to Beat the Clock to Truth or Consequences. It's just an hour and a half of fun. That's all I can tell you.
They're getting away, Richard! They're getting away! Bring those ladies back up here! Where's that lady? Where'd she go? Get that one! I want her, Richard. Don't let her get away. She's in the back row! I've never had him run off the stage before.
1995 proves to be an equally surprising year for Branson. For the third consecutive year, Branson has been voted ABA's hottest destination. And with new attractions such as the Dixie Stampede and the Showboat Branson Belle, it's a sure bet that Branson will continue to be one of the hottest spots in America. At the Dixie Stampede, you'll be taken back to an era gone by, where handsome heroes, beautiful Southern belles, starlit nights, and just the right touch of magic fill the air. A time of chivalry and honor, a time of love and romance. It's a whole new concept in dining and entertainment for both the young and the young at heart.
It's a whip-cracking, wagon-busting, horse-racing good time. It's a north-south rivalry with lots of audience participation. It's a great value. You get a lot of bang for your buck. You've got your meal. You've actually got a pre-show when you come in, which is in our carriage room, which is our non-alcoholic saloon. And then you also have the meal, and it's a 4-course feast. It's a fabulous 4-course feast where you have a whole roasted chicken, hickory smoked barbecue ribs, hot buttered corn on the cob, herb basted potato, our homemade Dixie bread, specialty dessert, and all the coffee, tea, or Pepsi you can drink. Then also you have your main show, and that's where the audience really gets wild and really gets into it and gets to participate and have lots and lots of fun. The main arena is arranged in a horseshoe shape, and the seating is tiered. It's tiered seating, and it's kind of bench style where everybody just slides in and you're right there next to everybody, and then your plateware and stuff is in front of you. There's not a bad seat in the house. The furthest seat away from the arena is 25 feet, so you're still right there where the action is.
Opening in the summer of '95, the Dixie Stampede is located on a 14-acre tract of land on Highway 76, adjacent to the Old School Park. The exterior of the building will look like Old South Victorian of the mid-1800s.
A lot of research was done on Branson and the area prior to bringing Dixie Stampede here. It is obviously a very popular tourist destination, and we felt that it was just at a time when Branson was ready for something such as a Dixie Stampede. It's a very family-oriented community, very family-oriented tourist base, as well as senior citizens, and our show has something to cater to everyone. You don't have to be of a particular age group to enjoy it, and that makes a big difference, and the Branson market is like that. We are a Dollywood company and also a Dollywood production. She, of course, owns Dollywood along with her partners, and Dollywood owns Dixie Stampede. So it's kind of a big, long, round circle of who owns who, but that's Dolly's participation in it. As far as Dolly coming to Branson, Dolly will be here during our grand opening celebration. She is planning to at this time. However, Dolly will never perform at Dixie Stampede. She has never wanted to compete with her friends here in Branson, and that's another reason that it's taken so long for us to bring Dixie Stampede here, is she won't compete with them, and this isn't a competition. It's simply people have to eat. Dixie Stampede offers that plus a lot more. You get a great value.
Well, one of the reasons we brought Dixie Stampede is because I didn't really feel like, since I had all of Dollywood up in East Tennessee, in which I'm very, very proud of that, because it kind of talks about my family and my heritage and Smoky Mountain people, and I didn't want to feel like I was trying to compete with all these wonderful entertainers and friends of mine down here, so that's one of the reasons we have the Stampede is because it's not a musical show, but I imagine that I'll be around here once in a while to entertain, but I try to stick mostly with Dollywood because that's really my part of the world, but eventually we may get down here to do some stuff, but no plans right now.
Also, the way we're set up, you can still see a 2 p.m. matinee as well as an 8 p.m. show. We fit kind of right in between there, obviously with the dinner time hour, and you can still be able to do your other shows as well. And it is cost effective for a family. You know, used to years ago, families could come down to Branson, spend a weekend, cost them $100 for a family of 4. That's very difficult to do anywhere in this day and age. With Dixie Stampede, you can have your family enjoy their meal, be fed very well, and have fun all at the same time, and you're not broke the next day.
Making a splash in 1995, the showboat Branson Belle slid into Table Rock Lake with a smashing success atop a blanket of bananas.
Today answers one of the world's greatest trivia questions. Is how do you launch a 2 million pound boat? And of course the answer is you do it with bananas. As Co said, it has certainly generated a great number of jokes throughout the course of months since we announced that, and it has created a lot of humor, but in essence it is a very key part of what the Showboat Branson Belle stands for. We have a beautiful facility here in Table Rock Lake, and it's our efforts to protect it at all costs. And one of the costs that would have damaged the lake would have been just the lubricants of pushing this boat in. So we found a natural lubricant, John did, and it came out to be bananas. So that was the reason the bananas came into play, was purely from an environmental issue.
I see a lot of you took me to heart, but in the last 5 months of my shows when I was working here in Branson, I said, be sure and come out August 12th, because this sucker doesn't float. It's the last chance you're going to get to see it. And we have quite a turnout here today, and it's an exciting project. It's something that the minute this was brought up in our meetings, I particularly formed a real affection for this project. Normally boats like this are built at water's edge, but not our John Dismer here. He wanted to do it up here. He has kind of a Noah complex, I think. We saw a bunch of animals up there the other day when we were here. But you have really done a wonderful job, and as I said, I've kind of seen it through the nuts and bolts era and watched it go together, and you really have great respect for the workmanship. And if you could just take a second and look at one of the plans for these things, it is really awesome to see that.
Making their maiden voyage in April 1995, the Showboat Branson Belle offers not only the most unique and newest sightseeing adventure, but entertainment and dining as well.
The Showboat Branson Belle is unique to the area and really to the country because of the size and the magnitude and the splendor of the vessel. And it allows guests to come and enjoy a lake cruise and a meal, either breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and a fabulous production show from the showboat era, all in one attraction. Guests will step back in time when they step on board the Showboat Branson Belle. The vessel is from the turn of the century, and we're really bringing back to life that showboat era of mighty riverboats on the Mississippi. The show is very much themed to that period of time, and the waitstaff and the costuming and everything that surrounds them is from turn of the century America on the riverways of America.
The Showboat Jubilee is based actually on fact. Annabelle Layton, who was a gal who owned a showboat down in New Orleans, had 3 lovely daughters, and they sailed upriver here. And she met at White River Landing in this area a mountain man named Elijah McAdoo, and he also had 3 handsome sons. So actually the story is a love story between Annabelle, who falls madly in love with Elijah, and their families all get together and settle in this area. That's the story in a nutshell. But beyond that, these two, while they're introducing each other to each other and they're playing and they involve themselves in wild shenanigans and have the time of their lives, there's a lot of dancing, a lot of music, a lot of comedy, and a tremendous amount of audience involvement. So I think everybody's going to have a ball.
Music, dance, comedy, and plenty of fun leave you with a smile and a wish that your cruise could last forever. Don't miss the boat. Also making her move in 1995, Jennifer Wilson has left the Roy Clark Theater for a theater of her own. The popular Jennifer in the Morning Show can now be seen in the Americana Theater, which was purchased by Janville Productions in 1995. The theater was purchased from the legendary Mo Bandy, who now shares a theater with Jennifer.
There was a spot open
at the Roy Clark Theater, which is a beautiful place. And of course, I was excited about going over to Roy's. Just the prospect of it thrilled me because I've been loving him since I was a little bitty girl. And so Bill came up with the idea that we would do a morning show. And this was a relatively new concept because there were probably 3 or 4 shows in town who had tried to start a morning show, but they unfortunately had not done much promoting for themselves. Fine shows, but no promotion. And so the morning idea really hadn't kicked off. And so Bill and I decided that we would do a nighttime production, but put it in the morning because there was a call for it. And he has promoted it just like it was a nighttime show, and shebang, the whole thing just took off. So I started out at Roy's, and I've been there since '92, since end of July of '92. And then this year, I moved to the Mo Bandy Theater. Bill purchased the Americana Theater, and it is now the Americana Theater, home of Jennifer in the Morning and Mo Bandy at Night. So it's a wonderful thing. We are predominantly a country show. That's what my roots are in. But we do everything, and I think that's the secret to why we're working. And I mean, besides, you know, just being blessed and people being good to us, but we have a lot of variety on stage. I sing everything. A lot of country, we sing 40s, 20s, whatever. And dance introduces a lot of different styles into the show. I do the Charleston in the show and the Missouri clog. This year I'll be doing a wartime medley, complete with the jitterbug and the Bob Fosse style dancing, everything. And then we'll do a 50s medley, so that introduces yet another type of music. The Jennifer in the Morning show is held 6 days a week. We do that show every single morning but Sunday. And then in the busy parts of the season, we also do 3 afternoon matinees. And then Mo does his show, which is a completely different show than my own. His own band, his own production. We're totally separate. He does his show 6 evenings a week without Sunday, and then he does the other 3 afternoon matinees. So it works out great. We've got like round-the-clock entertainment.
Making his move in 1995, Kirby Van Birch has left the 5-Star Theater and now makes his home at Branson's Magical Mansion. The glamour and glitz of Las Vegas first found its way into the hearts of many Branson visitors in 1993, when the Van Birch and Welford show first opened. Mixing the amazing illusions and magical wizardry of Kirby Van Birch with the zany comedy antics of Philip Welford makes for a winning combination.
Coming into this show and working with Kirby has been really a tremendous experience for me because, you know, ordinarily as a comic, I will come out on stage. I just walk out on stage. But now, because I've got a relationship with Kirby, he will magically make me appear in a very funny way. And this happened several times in the show. And it's just, you know, it brings so much to me because I don't have to just walk out now. It's all of a sudden I'm there. Now I'm just hoping he doesn't make me disappear because for financial reasons or whatever.
Well, it's not only that, but this guy is very mischievous nature, you know, and he's come on the stage while I was performing an illusion, and I didn't know he was going to be a part of the illusion, and it was well done. It was the best response I ever had on the illusion, and now we keep it in the show every single day, so we're starting to incorporate different things. He's just been a great addition to what I do with his sense of humor.
We play off each other very well. It's really great. Well, I was originally in Las Vegas, and I got a call from Andy Williams, and I'd been working with Andy Williams off and on for the last 7 years, and he said he was building a theater in Branson, Missouri, and I said, where? And he said, Branson, Missouri. It's a little town in the Ozarks with 3,700 people, and I'd love for you to come. And he said, you'll do 2 shows a day, 6 days a week. So I worked with Andy for the last 2 years, and then I hooked up with Kirby this year, and it seems to be a real good match.
During the first season at the 5-Star, Van Birch performed more grand illusions on stage than had ever been performed before. That was only the beginning, however, as he now plans to add 15 new illusions to his act. This will be an undertaking no other magician has ever attempted.
Well, I have the largest magic show in the world, and it was in Las Vegas for 7 years. And I got the offer to come to Branson that they would build me one of the largest theaters in town, a $13 million theater, if I'd bring my show here. it gave me the ability to bring in illusions that have never been performed before by any magician, because they had to build a facility here to hold all my animals. I have lions, tigers, I have bears, I vanish a car, anything you can think of magically that has ever existed or that will exist is in this show now. The show is not just a magic show. It's a show that has so many different elements. You know, Philip Welford's the greatest comedian in the world. We have dance numbers with production. It's an extravaganza. It's a multi-million-dollar extravaganza. You'll see lavish costumes and sets. And you know, in our finale last year, I was here. The only thing I was missing in my finale, in my opinion, was a patriotic salute. But I don't have a song that I could sing, but what I could do is bring in $1 million worth of special effects and create $1 million patriotic salute to America. So it's the mother of all finales.
1996 brought several new as well as unique forms of entertainment to the area, with such attractions as the Wild Wild West Show, the Anita Bryant Theater, the Barbara Fairchild Theater, and the Hollywood Wax Museum Branson. Each attraction contributing their own special flavor to the Branson phenomenon. A spectacular visual and musical journey into the Wild West awaits you at the Wild Wild West Theater. The stage of the theater has been transformed with the most elaborate three-dimensional sets and props, reminiscent of an old West town, to put you smack dab in the middle of all the action.
Well, the minute they hit the parking lot, it's great because that's where all the action starts. There are cowboys in the parking lot shooting them up and directing traffic, and if you're on a bus, somebody's going to hold up your bus and throw people in jail, and you might have to sing to get out. And then you come in, and the whole theater, well, the outside of the theater is a great big ghost town. And then the inside of the theater is done as well as a ghost town. So you're right smack dab in the middle of an old West town, you know, and the set is like that too. And then you'll see the Hughes brothers will come out and they'll sing some old cowboy songs, and everything starts right from the beginning. When you hit the parking lot, all the excitement starts. And I think that, you know, even as young as kids to elderly folks, I mean, it really is great because there's so much action on stage. The costumes are great, the set is great, and about the time you get used to one thing happening, then something else happens. You know, it changes, and your eyes are always entertained as well as your ears, so your senses are always entertained, and so it's very exciting. So it can really captivate everybody's attention. You can clap along, you can sing along, and we have parts in the show where the audience actually gets involved, where we go right down into the audience and sing right to people and shake their hands, and yet we have an anniversary dance where we have people that have been married for 45, 50 years that come up, and we do a little spotlight dance, and that's really kind of a nice segment of the show.
The Wild Wild West Show is a natural for the Branson area, where family values, God, and country are still the backbone of this small town, and millions of visitors applaud these values.
And why should you come to Branson? Well, that's easy. It's just the friendliest place on earth. I mean, there is no such thing as a stranger in Branson, and that's a common saying here, and it's so true. People will, the minute you hit the pavement here, people will tell you, welcome to Branson. And they'll be very sincere, and so it's a great place, and well, there's so much entertainment going on. You can't possibly see all the shows here.
When America's sweetheart Anita Bryant walks onto stage and belts out her spectacular voice, you know why she is now considered Branson's First Lady of Entertainment. The legendary Anita Bryant thrills audiences with her music, style, humor, and energy. Her soul-stirring ballads and heartfelt gospel are complemented by her warm rapport and charm. Any audience listening to Anita Bryant knows just how much she cares for them and for her musical art. When she honors all Americans with her favorite renditions of patriotic songs, you'll be captured by the First Lady of Branson Entertainment. Anita offers a variety of shows throughout the year, with her Christmas Spectacular holding a special place in the hearts of each patron. When you have met Barbara Fairchild and experienced her warm smile and delightful personality, you'll understand why so many say, to see her is to love her. And at the Barbara Fairchild Theater, you'll get your chance to see just what they're talking about.
We love audience participation. And we do comedy, gospel, country, and you know, our show is not a big production show like some of the other things. It's a really fun show, and I think people leave here really feeling like they know me. And what we hear over and over, they say it's very inspiring, so much fun, uplifting, you know, those kind of things. And it's just a flat out good time. That's what it is. And I've got a lot of great people in the show with me. One bit that we do is we do a song called You're the Reason Our Kids Are Ugly. And the band are my children. And so, I mean, it's hysterical to see a bunch of grown-ups acting like babies. It is just too fun, and the people just roar and laugh. You know, it's really fun. So we just do a real variety of things. This year I'm doing something that's kind of fun. I play the guitar, not very good, but a little. And it's just sort of a hoot to get to do this, you know. And I come out and sit on the stool, and I sing some songs that have meant a lot to me through the years. Like the very first song I ever sang in public was Easter Parade. And so I tell a little bit about that and you know, different things I did singing as a kid, you know. And then I go into some of the songs that have been hits for me through the years. I've done a medley. And that's really a lot of fun. And then we bring it up to Teddy Bear, in which I get somebody out of the audience to help me sing that. And that's so much fun because people are so unpredictable, the things they're going to do. And then we do, I have a 4-year-old, Matthew Matney, that sings. He's not mine now. I'm waiting on grandchild here. We got one on the way. But he sings. He's just an amazing little boy. He's knows over 50 songs. And he's such a little pro. I just am continually astounded at him. And he sings, and he does an Elvis rendition, you know, of Elvis and stuff. So you haven't lived to see the 4-year-old be Elvis. And then I do a lot of the, kind of scattered out, I do several of the gospel songs that I've recorded. But I do a lot of country gospel, so it's kind of hard to decipher, you know, and because it all fits together so well. I close with He's Alive, which is just an awesome song.
Take a journey through television, music, and motion picture history with a journey to the Hollywood Wax Museum. The Hollywood Wax Museum Branson is a fresh and exciting new attraction that is sure to be a hit with visitors of all ages. The experience starts as you drive to the museum, where the front of the building is covered with a replica of Mount Rushmore that is over 115 feet in length and 50 feet in height. However, in keeping with the true spirit of Hollywood, the faces have been replaced with some of the most famous stars of all times: John Wayne, Marilyn Monroe, Charlie Chaplin, and Elvis. The museum features over 170 life-size wax figures on display in the authentic scenes that made them famous.
What they'll do is they'll take a journey through movie and television history. We have everything from the Marx Brothers to King Kong to, we have Popeye for kids. We have, like I said, the Talking Tree from Wizard of Oz. I think they'll experience, I don't know, they might remember the movie, you know, where they were when they saw the movie the first time. I think that what we're most proud of here, besides our figures, is the sets. The sets, they're all very authentic, and they're recreations of the back lots from the original movies they were built in. I know that they've put a lot of time and effort into the sets here, and they're all very authentic and very detailed. They're very detailed.
Don't miss the Hollywood Wax Museum Branson, where the stars are always out. 1997 promises to be another exciting year, with the arrival of several new changes to the area. Changes that will include the arrival of such entertainers as Ronnie Prophet, appearing at the Boxcar Willie Theater, the opening of Yakov's American Pavilion, the Jukebox Jamboree, appearing at the Branson Stage Theater, and the debut of the American Showcase, formerly the Glenn Campbell Theater. Several other changes to the area will include the joint venture of Tony Orlando and Wayne Newton. This partnership will bring both entertainers together to perform at one location, the Tony Orlando Theater. The Grand Palace, now under new ownership, will host Dino and special guests. The country music boom may be the reason most people journey to the area. However, once in Branson, there are no end to the possibilities. Family fun and entertainment is the theme for the area, and family fun you'll have, from museums to amusement parks. The possibilities are endless. Many people have heard of Branson, Missouri. However, many do not know the history of the area. And what better way to learn about history than a trip to the local museum? At the Harold Bell Wright Museum, you will not only learn more about the Branson history, but you will enjoy a truly educational experience.
The museum was actually done by Harold Bell Wright's only living son, his youngest son, Norman. Norman is now 83 years of age, but at the time he set up this museum, he was 74, I believe. This is kind of a unique museum. This is what we call a sound-guided museum. And the voice of Norman goes around the museum, tells people all about all of the exhibits. We do have a 27-minute motion picture also depicting the life of Harold Bell Wright. And of course, this is a wonderful picture. The reason it's so professionally done, Norman Wright, for many years, was with the Walt Disney Studios in California. And he says that making the movie was the easy part. Setting up the museum was a whole new ball game. But it's very beautifully done. We have both a 27-minute sound tour of the museum and a 27-minute motion picture, so that our customers, when they come in, we advertise that there is no waiting, and that is true, because if the museum is going, if the theater is going, then we put them in the museum. It's all coordinated to come out at the same time.
Boxcar Willie fans may also enjoy a trip to the Boxcar Willie Museum. The museum features many items donated by friends, fans, and various entertainers, along with his airplane and railroad collection.
I had the museum in Nashville for several years, but when I opened the theater up here in Branson, I increased it tenfold because I had things stacked in boxes and shelves and barns and garages and under the beds and in drawers that I didn't have room to put in Nashville, so I just built a brand new building. And I built it in 1989, or 80, I started in 88, finished it, so it was open in 1989. And it's a wonderful museum. My museum is an attraction by itself, really. We don't bill it as an attraction, but the people who go through there tell me that they have never seen a better museum anywhere in the world. And that makes me feel awfully proud. I've got some one-of-a-kind things in there, and I mean major, major things, like Jimmy Rogers' great Martin guitar that he used to record all of his blue yodels with back in the 20s and the 30s. I've got a Hank Williams suit and hat in there that Hank wore on stage. I've got Elvis's rocker that he bought for his mother when she was alive. I've got a cockpit of a KC-97 tanker, and I've got a great Roy Rogers display in there that Roy personally gave me all these things. And it's a beautiful museum and train memorabilia from the world over. So it's really an attraction in itself, but we don't bill it as that. But the people who go really do enjoy it, and they say, hey, it's one of the best museums we've ever seen.
Branson's famous West 76 Country Boulevard, lined with one spectacular live music show after another, has an earth-shattering addition, the new Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum, which opened their doors in March of 1994. Through the lobby doors, guests will discover a world filled with oddities and artifacts beyond imagination.
Robert Ripley was probably the world's foremost collector. He started his career in the mid-20s, but he came to his prominence in the mid-30s. And in 1936, he was voted in America the most popular man, even over the current president. But he was an eclectic collector. He started out as a cartoonist in the 20s, and his first cartoon series was called Champs and Chumps. And then it evolved into Ripley's Believe It or Not. And he searched the world over trying to find true Believe It or Nots, and he succeeded. He called his originals an auditorium, and it was at the World's Fair, and that's when he first started displaying some of his unusual, believe it or not. Robert Ripley not only collected things like, well, we've got a pair of lotus slippers from China, and he spent a lot of time in China. He also collected really unusual people, like the people we have here in our gallery, the unicorn man with a horn growing out of his head, and the four-eyed man. He has 4 eyeballs in his eyes. So he collected animal oddities, human oddities, and artifact oddities as well. Oh, they're going to see a myriad of things. We're 14,500 square feet. That's how large we are. And we have got 7 different galleries, all themed. In our country gallery, which is our largest gallery, they're going to see a 30-foot stretch white limousine with a heart-shaped jacuzzi in the trunk. That was an actual limousine that our owners bought in Orlando, Florida. They will also see, believe it or not, from stars like John Davidson, Yakov Smirnoff, Shoji Tabuchi, Mo Bandy, Jim Stafford. That's in our country gallery. In our oddities gallery, where we're standing now, they'll see a replica of the world's tallest man, Robert Wadlow. They'll see animal and human oddities like the unicorn man that I mentioned earlier. We also have the world's largest ball of string in our collectibles gallery that weighs close to 7 tons. Last May, Mickey Gilley's theater burned down. And the unique thing about that, when I was collecting, believe it or not, from the local stars, I went to them and I said, I really want something from Mickey. And this is what they came up with. The fire was so intense that it melted the steel girders that supported the theater. But the 2 things that were left, and believe it or not, was the candy from the concession counter. We've got Reese's peanut butter cups in the package, and they have been authenticated that they are in fact, the real peanut butter cups, and also a little gold pin of a guardian angel. And this is what they gave to us to put into the museum.
Branson is also saturated with water activities to suit every taste. Whether you choose a tropical adventure at Whitewater, a splash into Table Rock Lake aboard the Ducks, or an exciting ride aboard the Polynesian Princess, you're assured of a fantastic adventure.
You are looking at an original World War II DUKW, and we call those the Ducks. This company itself, Ride the Ducks, the original Ride the Ducks, started back in 1977. Bob McDowell and his father, Jack, and his mother, Noriko, all got together. They saw one of these machines, decided to give it a try, because back in 77, quite a few less things, businesses and attractions in the area, a lot more just natural beauty, of course, a lot less populated and all. They decided that these ducks that could go from land to water and back to land again without any change at all, just kind of turned into the steering wheel, depending on which way you went. They decided back in 77 this would be a good way to tour the Ozarks, and for those Ozark Mountain visitors that do come to the area, it'd be a good way for them to tour the Ozarks, land to water, back to land. So we started out back in 1977. It's been running ever since. The tour itself is about a 70 to 75-minute tour. 15 minutes or so of that tour, you're actually out on Table Rock Lake, kind of floating around. And, of course, all during the tour, you get to see the area, get to see the sights. We'll show you the back roads and all.
Amid forested hills, crystal clear lakes, and meandering waterways, Branson, Missouri is a peaceful Ozark community with a distinctive difference. Amidst the economic boom, local folks strive to maintain the small-town friendly atmosphere, the friendliness and trust of the Ozarks. That's really what makes Branson, Branson. The knowledge that the whole family is welcome and that the entertainment is for one and all.
This program is sponsored by Foxborough Inn. Whether you are an independent vacationer or a large tour company, your Branson vacation won't be complete without experiencing Branson's finest accommodations, the Foxborough Inn. Interested in amenities? How about 175 beautiful and luxurious rooms with cable television and remotes, an outdoor swimming pool, unique gift shop, soup, sandwich, and pie shop, free local calls, free coffee, free Continental Plus breakfast, and free show reservation service. We also offer an elevator, guest laundry, and shuttle stop. There is also a restaurant within walking distance. Our central but quiet and serene location offers easy bus access to theaters and shopping outlet malls. You'll enjoy our rooms with gorgeous Ozark views and scenic patios, non-smoking rooms, smoking rooms, and handicapped accessible rooms, along with banquet and sales meeting rooms.
It's a nice, clean motel, one I feel good about bringing my kids to.
Well, the pie is really good.
Well, the rooms were exceptional. Very clean and very nice. I haven't had one complaint from the people. They're just really enjoying it here. And the staff has been so helpful. We needed a room change, and it just took a few seconds. Everything was fine. Worked out really good. They've been real friendly and just real helpful and good people to work with.
Did you use the breakfast?
We did use the breakfast, and it was very adequate. Everybody seemed real pleased and stayed and chatted a while and just kind of relaxed. It's kind of serene in here. There's just a real good feeling being around the premises.
There you have it. Now you're ready to experience Branson's finest accommodations. Experience the Foxborough Inn.